Welcome back to Experience Points, a less formal, more laid-back sort of video where I talk about games that I'm playing through but have not yet finished, and today I'm taking a look at Crisis Core Final Fantasy VII Reunion. And that's the actual title. Man, I'm glad I got that on the first try. Guys, this is a game that is a remaster, an enhanced remaster, if you will. It walks the line of being a remake, but it's not quite there, and I'll talk about why that is. But this was a game that was originally released on the Sony PlayStation Portable a long while ago, and I've wanted to play it ever since then. Except part of me never did want to actually play it for one reason or another, whether it be I didn't want to play on a tiny screen or on a tiny cramped kind of controller that didn't have a right analog stick, or any number of those little things, and also the fact that it was an action RPG at the time, and that was just really weird to me that Final Fantasy VII was not a turn-based RPG. Well, let's say that things have changed a little bit since then, and now that it's also on multiple consoles, including the PlayStation 4, PlayStation 5, PC, and Nintendo Switch. And is it on Xbox? If it's on Xbox, I'll say so right here. Anyways, and now that it's on all of these different platforms, we have so many nice quality of life improvements, like the nice controller with the dual analog sticks, the dual R2 buttons and dual R3 buttons. I mean, I don't know how a lot of these controls worked back on the original PSP release, because like I said, I never played it, but now that it is on these consoles, I just had a blast playing it for the last several hours on my PS5. And I think that if you were like me and have been avoiding this for some reason or other, this might be a really good chance to finally dive in and try out Crisis Core and finally experience what we've missed out on for so long. So, just to kick things off, I can tell you that the visuals of this game are absolutely solid. More or less. There are some things that still could tell you that it's not quite 100% remade, and a lot of those visuals really comes down to the animations outside of combat. Inside combat, everything is smooth. It's buttery smooth, at least on PlayStation 5, and the combat is fun and addicting. The gameplay loop is great, but the visuals are really solid aside from just a few small things here and there. Maybe some small environmental details don't quite look as crisp, but honestly, it's really good. As far as remasters go, it's above and beyond what we've come to expect from just remasters of the era, I think. I gotta say, Square Enix has really been killing it lately with a lot of these remasters, like what they did with Final Fantasy VIII, what they did with Chrono Cross, and now Crisis Core. Square Enix has actually really been knocking it out of the park with a lot of these remasters. That is really great on the visual side of things. Musically, it is fantastic. I don't know how much work they did to it to bring it to this platform. It doesn't sound super compressed or anything to my ear. Which is one of the things that I was maybe kind of concerned about coming from a PSP release. You know, the lot smaller discs had to compress a lot of the music down. I can't tell you if it's all new orchestral or not, or if this is just kind of reusing some of the original masters, but I can tell you that it sounds really good. On the other hand, something about the localization feels very dated, and it's got that thing going on where you can kind of hear that the voice actors are doing a phenomenal job, and I'm pretty sure that one of them, Angel, I'm pretty sure that's Steve Bloom. I haven't looked it up, but I'm pretty sure it's Steve Bloom. Sounds just like him, but you can hear that the voice acting is done in kind of a vacuum where they don't really have a whole lot of context about what's going on in that particular scene when that line was played back. There's odd pauses here that occur between lines of text that they were shown, and it almost feels like there was no context previous to what they were just saying, and then, I don't know, it just doesn't sound as natural as what we've come to expect with more recent localization efforts. The quality of the voice files and everything is top-notch. I have no real complaints about the audio quality involved. Now, as far as like the gameplay loop, this is what's going to bring a lot of people in and what's going to keep you there, and the gameplay loop is really interesting. There is a main thread that takes place basically throughout the course of the game, as I understand it, and at least that's the pattern so far. And aside from those little pieces that continue the overall plot forward, you can take a break from it and you can go to the save point and embark on missions. And missions in this context are basically combat to fight monsters, to fight Shinra thugs, to fight and to gain treasures and to gain new equipment and new elements and not elements, what are they called in this game? Materia. But these missions are the big meat and potatoes of the whole thing. Like, you can see what the difficulty level is before you select them. You can start diving into them, go get a whole bunch of levels, and then by the time that you're done, and don't ignore these, because by the time that you're done, you'll be leveled up enough to the point where the next bit of the story won't outright kill you. It's balanced in a way that you really are not intended to ignore these side missions, because though they are side missions, they are still calculated into the trigonometry of, you know, where they think you will be at what point in time when you're going through the story. So don't ignore those. Those are the point. And those gameplay missions are super short and sweet. So you can pick up a mission that says go kill, 17 of these guys, and then you go and you're placed on this map and you go and kill 17 of those guys, and then you're done. You get your special equipment, you get your special reward bonuses, right? And then you're back at the main base, and you can save the game and you can go on another mission or not. The game is designed to work on the PlayStation Portable. It's made for short bursts. So that is kind of what the gameplay loop is, these short bursts of going on missions, killing a bunch of things, and then proceeding as you were. That would be kind of annoying if it weren't for the fact that the combat of the game is also really very solid. The combat of the game is an action RPG. I guess at this point we kind of have to accept that's just what Final Fantasy VII is at this point. And because it is an action RPG, you have some trigger buttons, like the L trigger, for instance, which if you hold that down, you can choose to use various materia skills. So you can hold down L trigger, press circle or triangle, and you can do like a jump attack, or you can use something that uses AP, or you can use magic based, so you can use like blizzard or thunder or something like that to attack enemies, which takes a little bit of time. It's a little bit slow, but there's a rhythm to it. And what's really nice is there's also a dodge button, which feels right at home for people like me who really have over the years gotten really into some action RPGs that require strategic use of the dodge ability, and also you can block if you feel like doing that too. But the whole dodging ability, dodge rolling, and attacking rhythm just feels really smooth in this one. It feels really nice to get that, those short frames of invincibility and just go around the back of an enemy to get those critical hits. And that's what's been really fun lately for me, is diving into these and just kind of destroying these enemies so early on. The other aspect of this game that I need to talk about is the story involved here, because it is wild. It is not very far into the game at this point. I'm about like less than 5 hours in, and things are just bonkers. Really, they've gone absolutely crazy. It did not take long at all for the main story to just go right off the rails, right? This is a bizarre game with the mind of Tetsuro Nomura at the helm here. He has taken full control, and this is completely bonkers. But if you're a fan of things like Kingdom Hearts or the more recent Final Fantasy VII Remake, or that sort of storytelling where it just kind of seems like things are going to go off in, crazy land, this is going to be a game that definitely fulfills that. But otherwise, if you're just looking for a sort of fun game to pick up and put down as you go, well, then you are going to be in for a treat for this one, because that is exactly what we have here. And because it's coming out on the Nintendo Switch and PC, you could also play it on a Steam Deck. I'm sure it would run really nicely and lend itself well to that whole handheld paradigm, if you will. So anyways, if you're new here and if you liked what you saw, please be sure to get subscribed, because I'm SuperDerek. I make thoughtful and thought-provoking videos for gamers who love RPGs, and I'll see you all in the next one. But until then, have a great rest of your day, everyone.